Captain America: The First Avenger is directed by Joe Johnston and written by Stephen McFeely and Christopher Marcus, and is the first entry from this writing duo in Marvel, because we will go on to see their names again with every Captain America movie, Thor 2, or Thor: The Dark World, and have written the script for this upcoming Avengers Infinity War. And the best thing that Marcus and McFeely did with the first Avenger was they took all the various origin stories of Captain America and how they are largely the same, but there are big inconsistencies between some of them, and big details end up changing every now and again. So they kind of take all that, pay honor to it, but they don't necessarily stick to it all, while they reformulate it all into their own unique story. A big change that they brought to this that I really enjoyed was they aged up Bucky, and they made him, Cap's best friend growing up. It's like we go on again to see Marvel's impenetrable strength to be able to cast the perfect actors for their roles, because Chris Evans just is Captain America, and Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter, she is just an absolute force in this movie. And I'm really happy that they not only gave her plenty to work with, but they kept the complexities of Peggy's character there, especially with the time period that we're dealing with the 1940s and the heavy sexism rampant throughout the entire world, and how it's kind of almost impossible to be a woman in a position of power. And while she, asserts herself to demand your respect, she never goes out of her way to, truly be a hard ass. She's instantly establishes herself as a leader that you can respect. And then we have Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull. They didn't really, Marvel's biggest weakness, with their villains is that they don't really they don't give them a lot of time or attention, because they realize that with a movie, you don't have a lot of time to work with. So they much rather focus on telling a good story for their hero, rather than to try to tell a good story for both and botch it up for both. So I appreciate the safe route, but given all this, Hugo Weaving gives us a terrifying Red Skull. He chews up the scenery like I've never seen him do before. He takes a relatively basic, world-dominating character and really brings, while we don't get to see the complexities, he makes us feel those complexities behind his character. And it makes me earn for more Red Skull in the future. Again, this is set during the World War II period, and because of this, I kind of give it a pass with it glorifying war in a sense. I'm not usually really a big fan of movies that do that. I prefer movies that focus on more of the horrors of war, because that's truly what it is it's hell on earth, and it shouldn't be displayed as anything but. But it's pretty easy to get over this, because again, it's World War II, so this is pretty much the last war that wasn't mired in controversy. Tiny plot holes do exist here and there, but they're so minute to the larger picture, and they're often created by stylistic choices that I often find myself forgiving them, because, like I said, they're largely irrelevant to the big story at hand. The action in this movie is unfortunately largely forgettable for what we should be getting in a Cap movie. It's okay. It's just largely forgettable. Some of the CGI effects also haven't aged the best either. But the tiny Steve in the beginning still looks great. And while sometimes I do feel like some of these choices may have been an aesthetic choice to try to kind of replicate movies of the time period, sometimes it really didn't work for me, and can kind of make you go, what are they trying to do? Why? But for the most part, the CGI is it's passable, but it hasn't aged for the best. I remember when I first went to go and see this movie in the theaters, and I walked in setting the pretty high expectation that I wanted at least 5 fuck yeah Cap moments, and I remember getting like 3, and in my rewatch it was pretty much 3. While this doesn't make it necessarily a bad movie, it set a bar at good and left plenty of room for improvement. This is still a really good movie on a rewatch, and it's something that I look forward to watching again. It's a great movie from Marvel. I really enjoy the heart of it all, and if I had to give this a score, it'd probably be like a 7.5. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check us out on 28 Frames Later. Let us know what you think. If you have any differing opinions on this, make sure to drop them in the comments below, and hit the subscribe button. And thank you for tuning in.